Hello, hello. It's Shane Wood, Equity Real Estate, St. George, Utah. I wanted to do a quick market update for you, which can't be too quick because I got to give you a little back end on this thing before we can get to where we're at today so you fully understand what's going on in St. George area, southern Utah, if you're interested in buying or selling real estate. So back in about 2020, we had COVID, which a lot of people would come up here and bring their kids in order to play sports in our high schools because California was closed down. So we set some new pay standards in that era of the 2020 COVID deal. And with that inspired a few new builders to come to town. You've got D.R. Horton, you've got Richmond America, Toll Brothers. These are some massive builders from outside of this area that never built here before. And so all of a sudden, when we were during that 2020 time, we had about 200 to 300 houses on the market in St. George. Now that everything has kind of gone back to normal, and actually it was kind of overemphasized, like the building was over exaggerated, kind of like the '08. During '08, this area was overappreciated by more than most other places in the whole United States, and so they set a whole new standard again this time. So now we're up to about 1,300 houses on the market. This is in Greater St. George. I'm not talking about all of our MLS. I'm just talking our MLS in the Greater St. George. So when you talk about another 1,000 listings on the market from over like 3 years ago, and you've got builders like D.R. Horton that have probably 30 houses available to move in right now. When you looked at this 3 years ago, nobody had move-in inventory. They were all building. You'd go in and buy a house, and they'd build it for you. Now they've got houses sitting around waiting for you to buy. They've got some phenomenal deals like D.R. Horton, for example, 1% interest right now if you close before December, the end of December. And they have some big reductions, and they're offering big incentives to realtors to be able to bring a buyer in. So if you'd like to buy a D.R. Horton house, I'd like to sell one to you, but I'd love to sell any house. And I'd have to talk to you more about where those houses are built and condition of the soil underneath them. And that's a whole nother story that we should get into later. But when you understand the demand for housing, you'll understand the demand for the land and the disregard for the blue clay and the issues with the land, like we had down with the airport, for example, where they had to redo the entire runway because of blue clay. The alkali sulfate and the bentonite team up together to really do a number on your foundations around here. You want to know more about that, I'll do a whole separate video on that. But at any rate, right now, we've got a lot more houses on the market. We don't have bidding wars. So it's really a very good time for you to buy a house in St. George, much better than it was 2 years ago. I don't know how much farther it's going to go down. Every other day, we're seeing a back on the market, about probably maybe five reductions every single day on all the houses that are on the market. We're seeing more expireds than we've seen in 5 years. We're seeing more reshoots, like photographers that I know that I work with are saying that they're being called back out to reshoot houses multiple times. That means that they're trying to re-enterize some, interest in that property by updating the pictures or anything to try to bring some interest to that house. So at this point, though, it's mostly because the prices were completely over exaggerated. I know a lot of people won't want to hear that, but if you wanted to sell at a high price, you probably missed the boat. They were way over exaggerated, and now we're giving back a lot of that. Ever since the interest rate started going up, we started kind of giving back, and the whole thing has just slipped and slipped and slipped, and now nightly, weekly rentals, if you ever wanted to think about getting into one of those, there was a time when they were very rare and they were big, big money makers. And then during this 2021, 22, 23 era, they just overzoned the nightly, weekly rentals to the point here that you can't really make any money on them. So a lot of people are actually selling them right now. So it makes it a good time to buy one if you wanted to buy one. And then just consider you might not be able to rent it out and make a lot of money on it for a couple of years until tourism picks back up again, which it inevitably will. This is an amazing area, but we over exaggerate things a little bit and then they kind of So we get that little roller coaster ride. So you can buy low and sell high here on a regular basis. Every 10 years we do a little off offshoot. So at any rate, if you have any questions about buying and selling in St. George, Utah, call me anytime. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I can show you the data that backs up everything that I've told you. And you're looking to sell, it's not a terrible time to sell, but you're not going to get the premium price that we were getting a couple of years ago. That if you've got a good house and you market it properly, get it on all the sites, make sure. Look, I just recently had a house next to me that was listed as a 5 bedroom, 3 bathroom. It was indeed a 6 bedroom, 4 bathroom. So it didn't show up on that, 6 bedroom search to anyone that was looking for a 6 bedroom when in fact it was a 6 bedroom. So it may have brought a much higher price and sold for a lot faster had everything been accurate on the listing information. This is all highly critical. If you list with an agent that lists a whole bunch of properties, there's chances that things like that can slip through the cracks. I do not list a ton of properties. I really focus to make sure each one of my properties is perfectly marketed so that I get my clients the optimal results. And that's why I have a 5-star review on Zillow. And if you'd like to check any of those out, if you'd like to talk to any of those people that wrote those reviews, I'd be happy to give you a phone number for them. They're all friends of mine now because I've done such a great job for them. It's just how I work. I don't work with the most people, just the best people. So if you'd like to work with me, give me a call anytime. Shane Wood, 435 632 2446. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.